And then Dr. Joan Borasinko, whose book we're actually going to use for the class, tells us that when these type of devastating things happen in our lives, we have to remember that it's not the end of the world. And she shows us ways of looking at these things to recognize that there are most certainly answers here for us in every situation. Even gifts. Even gifts. Look at anything that you're moving through today and ask yourself, can I even imagine that there might be a gift in this for me? Is there something that I'm going to receive from this by looking at it in a new way that enables me to see life in a different way, to even be better in life? And what we're going to study this week is what she calls the theory of dissipative structure, that sometimes things have to be torn down in order to be built back up in a better way. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so if you know, you or anybody else that you know is dealing with something like this, be here Thursday night. Be here Thursday night at 7. Bring a friend. Fill this place up, because this is something that it's time for it. It's time for us to really look at this. Okay, so this morning, in line with this, we want to shift out of that old idea of impossible missions into possible missions. We want to shift out of being the I am force to the PM force, the possible mission force. All right? And one of the ways of doing this deals with something that I read online about 3 weeks ago. Lots of people right now who normally wouldn't watch are really fixated right now on World Cup soccer, right? Maybe a few less today than yesterday, but well, that's because the U.S. lost, anybody that doesn't know, okay. But really fixated on World Cup soccer. And about 3 weeks ago, I read this article that was written by a scientist, and this article is going to be printed in the Journal of Sports Sciences. This is really good. And he says that, in fact, I'll just read it to you. But when I read it to you, I don't want you to just listen to the words. I want you to listen to the terms listen in terms of how the words can be applied in your life. See, as metaphysicians, we're good at the words. We're really good at the words. But we want to be able to look at this and figure out, okay, now what does this look like in my life? All right? So he says, the article says, scientists say players taking penalty kicks at the World Cup should ignore the goalkeeper and just focus on where they are going to put the ball. Does that sound familiar? Scientists are saying this, okay? A study led by Greg Wood, a psychologist from Britain's Exeter University, tracked the eye movements of penalty kickers in shootouts and noted how players about to kick a ball could be distracted by the goalkeepers in front of them. He said, we tend to focus on things in our environment that are threatening. In a penalty kick, that threat is a goalkeeper. Wood said, if the goalkeeper can make himself more threatening, he can distract the kicker even more. By doing certain behavior, he can make it so that the kicker will kick the ball even nearer to the goalie. The control is with the kicker, and he must realize that, get confidence from it, and then align his eyes and let the eyes provide the brain with the necessary information for accurate shooting. Does this sound at all familiar? Okay. You know, there's a really funny story in our family. My sister-in-law likes to tell it herself about a time when they were doing construction on her street. And there was this big hole in the street, and she had visitors, and they were walking to a restaurant. And she kept telling everybody, there's a hole down there, so you have to be very, very careful. Be very careful. And she kept telling them, and as they approached the hole, she fell in it. Okay? She tells the story. We just laugh, okay? So the thing you want to recognize is that what this scientist is saying is very much like what my sister-in-law experienced. It's very familiar advice to us. The scientist is saying, don't pay attention to the obstacle. We would say, don't pay attention to the condition. Right? Focus your attention on what you truly want to experience and realize that the control is within the kicker, which would be us, the thinker. How would we apply this? Don't put your attention on the lack and limitation. Put your attention on the goal, which is the prosperity. Don't put your attention on the cancer. Keep your attention on the goal, not what appears to be blocking the goal. Now, I'm going to say that again, because we need to hear that again. Keep your attention on the goal and not what appears to be blocking the goal. Now look at your life right now. Look at whatever you've been contemplating right now and ask yourself, where has my attention been? See? How about don't focus on trying to get other people to change their mind about you. Anybody ever done that? How about seeing yourself as you want to be seen? Don't focus on the unemployment statistics. See, don't focus on how few jobs there are available. Focus on your perfect job. Anybody hearing anything here? Okay, all right. Okay, so don't focus on the foreclosure rate. Focus on being in your perfect house. See, and that's why I say we could read an article like that and say, whoa, that's really good. But what does that have to do with me? See, that's why we have to take that message and apply it. It's the same principle no matter how we apply it. The kicker has the power.